So I have gotten a chance to see the Wildcard premiere, and you are fantastic in it. I wanted to know what attracted you to the role of Alice.
A lot of things, but I had not played a detective yet, so that was exciting. I got to work in Canada, where I'm from, which was really beautiful. I had never worked in Vancouver. Vancouver's a beautiful place, and we were one of the few productions that got permission to work during the strike. So we were very just very fortunate, very lucky, and so we all came to work with a lot of gratitude. So there was a lot of just everyone was just very, very, very happy to be at work, and it showed.
Yeah, you can see how much fun you guys are having in the show, and they're beautiful shots of the city of Vancouver, Giacomo, like
Yeah.
just gorgeous. How much time did you end up spending on the water since Alice starts as a maritime police officer who'd rather be doing detective work?
A lot. It was fun. I mean, certainly like where my character lives on the houseboat were some of like my favorite scenes. It's in this place called False Creek in Vancouver, which is sort of like a port and a harbor. And so there's just boats around and you're on the water and there's this big sweeping deck that he lives on in his boat. And so that's where a lot of the fun scenes sort of like as we wrap up the episodes at the end of the day, it's sort of we see sort of Max and Ellis, myself and Vanessa kind of come together. And those are some of the more meatier, sort of more character scenes. It's
Hmm.
also where sometimes we're figuring out a case, like we're throwing down files on a table and being like, all right, let's do this. Like, what's going on? Let's get to the bottom of it. So that was fun. And then I got to do ride around on the actual like speedboat for the police officer scenes in the pilot, which was really fun. And I love being on the water. I love being on a boat. I mean, I could do that till I die.
Speaking of the meteor scenes, though, because that is one of the times we get to peel Alice back like an onion a bit, because we learn about his brother. Are we going to be learning more about that dynamic between the two of them, considering we do find out that he unfortunately was murdered?
Yeah, definitely. I think, there's a very powerful like A storyline, which is that this couple needs to work together in order to sort of redeem themselves. For him, it's getting his desk back. For her, it's getting out of jail. So that sort of takes the forefront. But as they start to work together, you get to see a little glimpse of their sort of dark paths with which for Ellis is that his brother was murdered a year ago, and he's still very much, angry about that and a lot of unsolved grief because they never caught the guy who did it. And for Max's character, we sort of find out less. Hers is more cryptic. We're kind of like, what's going on? We know
Mhm.
also she's a con woman. So there's always the back in your mind, like, is she telling the truth? Is this a lie? Is this a con? So there's much more mystery around her character, but she sort of subtly hints to her upbringing and her mom not being around anymore. And so you start to see little things of like, okay, she's got a little darkness in there too, and she's not always so light and bubbly. There's something unsolved within her as well. So I think that's interesting for the audience, and it gives them a starting point to understand of like, there's more to them that meets the eye than what they're presenting on the surface.
For sure, because I love Max, but I'm unsure if I should trust her just
Yeah,
yet when it comes to
you're
everything
right.
happening with her father as well.
Right. I think you're right to not trust her. If her dad's a con artist, her parents are con artists, so she grew up in that world of sort of conning and lying and white lies and sort of becoming different people and being a chameleon. So I think you're right to sort of not trust or be careful.
Be careful with Max. So as far as the different layers of the season, you talked about the A plot and then the B plot for the character-driven development. But there's also the issue with the case that Ellis was on. That is the reason why he's on the Maritime Police Force. Is that a bit of a mystery as well in terms of who potentially framed him?
Definitely. So, yeah, that's something, if we tell that story too quickly, then there's not enough show, right? So
Hmm.
we want to be more focused with these two characters working together, their reluctance to work together. Um, it's fun watching them surprise each other of how much of a good team they actually make. Because I know Ellis certainly doesn't think they do, but as the show goes on, you start to see him sort of melting a little bit and being like, oh, maybe we do kind of work well together or work well off each other. So that storyline in terms of Ellis's past and certainly Max's past is doled out a little slower, so it's more satisfying. I think also the connection and chemistry between them is also something that we want to take our time with. We don't want to sort of rush to that too quickly. So it's more satisfying for the viewers. But yes, those things are all still alive and well and cooking. And as you watch the season and get to see it go, you'll definitely get more layers of that onion peeled back.
But I do like that you're saying that they're going to dole it out slowly, because I think the dynamic between Max and Ellis is fantastic. There's a lot of chemistry there, but it does start off with a kiss, so that is interesting. Will we be seeing them delve a little bit more into their romantic connection, or are we just starting out with fire first and then slowly coming away from that as they figure out who they are as partners in the casework?
Yeah, I think the kiss is exciting for the viewer because you're kind of surprised by it and taken off guard. And the viewer is a little bit Ellis in that moment, which is totally, whoa, like, okay, I didn't see this coming. And in a way, it's kind of funny because in a lot of shows, that moment, takes seasons and seasons and seasons to happen. And
Hmm.
we just, had it happen right in our pilot. So that was kind of an exciting way for them both to kind of feel a connection there. But then they're like, "Oh, I kind of felt something, but I can't say anything about it." You know what I mean? So they had to sort of
Hmm.
like keep it all in. Certainly Ellis. So yeah, I think it's more the latter of what you said. That's something we want to sort of take our time with and sort of focus on their relationship as friends and partners first.
Okay. Well, it's going to be fun to watch. I also like, and I'm not sure how much Jonesy is actually going to be with them if there's any casework, but what was it like acting alongside the cat Jonesy who plays Mark?
It was fun. It was fun to work with an animal, and he's certainly entertaining. And I think a lot of the entertainment come from like, he's very unpredictable, right? And it's not like a dog where you can train them to do like everything like at once on a command. Cats are much more sort of in their own world.
Hmm.
So he was certainly in his own world, and it was tough to get him to do things that we wanted to. But I mean, it's not like we were asking him to do anything insane. So it was added a nice fun dynamic to a lot of the scenes that he was in.
I'm a cat person, so I was very excited
Yeah,
to
there you
see
go.
Jonesy.
Well, you'll see him. You'll see him in every episode.
Oh, well, that's great. I would love to hear that. But as far as to go back to the casework, is there a specific thing that you like about the mysteries that are being solved in Wild Cards?
Yeah, I think they just do a good job of just keeping a great variety. Like I was saying this to another journalist of just like every episode feels like its own little movie. The tone, the pace, the sense of humor, everything changes and it feels very singular. Where I feel like a lot of procedurals, it's sort of like some episodes just feel interchangeable. Like they just seem so like this is exactly like the last episode. Like we're in the same place, we're looking at the same four walls, we're the same characters, and it's just like another guy who's dead and it just feels very sort of repetitive. And I think that's probably what I'm most proud of with this show is each script is so completely different. It takes place in a completely different place. We went all over Vancouver, all over British Columbia. And so each episode really feels different and fresh and exciting and completely different. And of course, forces Max, Vanessa's character, to rise to a new occasion of disguise, which is cool.
That sounds exciting, especially because, like you said, we are kind of used to being in the same four walls when it comes to procedurals. And with this being a mystery drama, being outside is going to be exciting to see the different locations around Vancouver. Do you have, I know you can't really talk about episodes to come, but do you have a specific episode that we should be watching out for in terms of the case?
There is one episode, episode 8, where they visit a therapy and wellness center,
Oh, okay.
which we just had a lot of fun doing. And there's all kinds of sort of funny and comedy that ensues from that. But that's all I'll tease about that.
Okay, well, that is definitely something that we'll be looking out for. Giacomo, I wanted to thank you for this. I loved having this interview with you, so thank you.
Thank you.